We are expecting to have about how many participants finally did we have who registered? Mercy, Nicholas.
Yes, do you hear me?
I can hear. I'm just asking. We were anticipating to. I think the last time when I checked with Mercy, we were anticipating to have about 83 or plus 80 participants who have registered, and I'm seeing probably we can wait for like 5 more minutes to give them chance to join. Sometimes they're having some challenges. Then yeah, whatever, if they don't join, then whatever number we have, we can just start and move on.
Yeah, that's fine. Usually we give it maybe between 5 to 10 minutes for people to properly align. But for those who are here and they know that their friends or a few more other people from where they are planning on joining, they can also let them know so that they join. But I see the number is growing. So let's give it some.
Yeah, let us give it some time.
We say 5 minutes and then we start.
We say 5 minutes. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So for those who are just joining, we're going to be giving ourselves 5 minutes to wait for people to arrive properly in the call. Maybe they're trying to log in or setting up their cameras and microphones, and then we can start. So stay on and yeah, let's wait for 5 minutes. But the number is growing. 13 people so far, which is good.
Yeah, which is good. Yeah. If we hit the magic number 20, that will be better to start in 5 minutes.
Yeah, we have more people joining in. I think we are now 18. We have now 18 people on the call. So I don't know what is a good number about to start. But yeah, if we give it a few more minutes, then hopefully more people are going to join. It's 19 now.
Let us just have 2 minutes. Then we hit the magic number of 20. Then we join.
Awesome.
Then we start. Yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds good. For those who are joining in as well now, I just wanted to say a few things. We are recording this call and would really love to have your consent. Having these records with your face, voice, probably your opinion being aired on here. And we will be using these recordings for the purpose of also further sharing the messages and our work on social media. So if you feel uncomfortable being on calls for some personal reasons, feel free to just turn off your camera or leave us a message or a text saying you wouldn't like to allow us to use your photo or imagery rights. But otherwise, staying on the call with it being recorded, then you consent for us to do so. Yeah, just a few things as we start. When you're ready, Rutherford, let me know, and then I can.
I think I'm ready. We can start.
Great. The floor is yours. Welcome, Rutherford. And yeah, just for those who are also joining in, my name is Nicholas Novatus. I'm also part of the LiveX project. I manage the project, but I'm here with my colleagues who will be leading on this session as well. And I will leave this floor now to Rutherford, who is going to do a lot of moderations, and I'll be behind the scene, just helping and support in terms of tech and connectivity.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Nicholas, for the warm regards. My name is Rutherford Maruta. I am a Zimbabwean working with the Zimbabwe Webcams Association. And my duty today is very simple. It's just to introduce the program to you. So let me also take this opportunity to thank you for your patience since we started a bit late, trying to wait for others to join, because in this project, which we are calling Live X, which is Living X Exchange, we don't want to leave anyone behind. We want to take everyone on board. So we have to wait a bit for more people to join so that we can spread and realize the message of this Living X campaign. So I'll give in a nutshell what is the Living X Exchange. This is primarily a virtual exchange program for young people in sub-Saharan Africa from the following countries. Togo, that's Astroport in Togo. Then we also have ICY in Nigeria, based in Lagos. We have ICY in Kenya. We have the UP Tanzania. We have Zimbabwe Camps Association in Zimbabwe. We have Confor Community Forum Malawi. And we also have Ajude in Mozambique and South and South Africa. Alongside this consortium, we also have our two partners in Europe, which is the Coordinating Committee for International Volunteer Service, CCIVS, and ICY International Federation in Berlin. So this is the consumption of the composition of the consortium which is working on this project. And the primary objective is to create a conducive opportunity for young people in sub-Saharan Africa to exchange about climate change, exchange information about how best we can mitigate the harmful impacts which is impacting our climate in our respective countries, in our respective communities, starting at a community level. So that's the primary objective of this project. And today, alongside what we are doing here, we have a program which has been shared by Mercy, which is on which have been shared here on the screen. But for the benefit of those who are using mobile phone and you cannot even use it clearly, currently we are working on the introduction. Then we are just after the introduction, we are going to have to get to know each other through an icebreaker, which will be done by Mercy. Then after that, we are going to have a short description of the project, which is going to be done by Agatha. Then after that, we are going to have sharing the knowledge, a PowerPoint presentation is going to be done by Kola and Ian. Then we are going to have some questions and the video is going to be shared. That's what we are going to do in a nutshell. So in the interest of time, let me return back the time to Nicholas, who has given me the time so that he can present us the next presenter, which is Mercy.
Yeah, I think I'll hand it over to Mercy to continue. Thank you, Rutherford.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So welcome to our second online dialogue. And today we're going to be talking about climate change and culture. But before we get into the topic, I'd like us to get to know each other. I am going to post something in the chat and also share my screen. So we're an online tool we're going to use for this is called Slido or Slido. And go there and answer the question. So the question that we're answering is, what do you value most about your culture? I think we can do that in 3 minutes. It's mobile friendly as well. You can join this on your phone and using your computer. So www.slido.com, and then it will ask you to put in a number, and that's the number. Then you'll have the option of now answering this question. What do you value most about your culture? Can see some inputs. There's language, experimental music, there's food. Art and food. games. I hope you can all see the screen because I'm sharing. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's good. I'll just give 1 more minute for you to type. Quite interesting answers. And so what I'd like you to do next is go to your profile and write the emoji related to your answer next to your name. So like if you said your answer was food, go to, let's say if it's Nicholas, it will be Nicholas, and then an emoji that represents food according to you.
Recording in progress.
Oh, sorry.
Where do we put the emoji? Sorry.
Sorry?
Where do we put the emoji?
Next to your name.
Ah.
If you're not familiar with how to do that, at the bottom of your screen, if you're using Zoom, there's, after the video icon, there's an icon written participants. So you click on that, you click on the participants, then you will see a list of participants with yours being the top one. Then when you highlight your name, there are 3 dots on the left. Click on those 3 dots and then click rename. So after that, you'll now write your name and then the emoji. Let me use an example. I'm not seeing emojis on your names.
I can't do it.
Are you using a computer or your phone?
The computer. But I copied it and pasted it. It didn't work.
I cannot see the emojis messy here. I'm trying. I'm seeing the 3 dots. I've renamed, but the emojis.
Where are the emojis?
If you're using your computer, it might be a bit more difficult to put an emoji.
Computer.
So you can use the traditional smiley faces or the dashes. If you're using your phone, it's much easier to put an emoji.
I struggled.
Hi, Mercy. Has mine worked out?
Wait,
You want
let
it,
me.
you want it against your name, against the name?
Yes. So the emoji from your answer on Slido. So if your favorite thing about culture was food, put an emoji that represents food next to your name. If yours was dancing, put the dancing emoji next to your name. This will give an opportunity for us as participants throughout the meeting to check who likes what from their culture. I can see Yvonne's has worked. I think that's an avocado and a banana. So because I'm a Kenyan, I can guess which culture you're representing.
Go ahead and guess.
Because there's a particular tribe in Kenya famous for avocados and bananas.
I
I
hope it's
can
not Karibe
see
culture.
I can see Maruful has, I think it's a plate of food and ID and people. Maruful is from Indonesia. But yes, feel free to continue doing this. We're going to get back to this later in the session. But if you haven't, try and make sure you have an emoji or a smiley next to your name. Okay, so we will go to the next session, which is the introduction of LiveX. I'm not sure if Agatha has been able to join. Agatha, are you online? If not, I will share the screen and present on her behalf. She's having some challenges with her internet. So
Yeah,
I'll just go ahead.
I can see it. Just go ahead, Master. I cannot see on the line. She's not, her name is not there. So go ahead and do on her behalf. Thank you.
Okay. So today's online dialogue is part of a project called LiveX. For those of you who are not familiar with the project, the project started in 2024 and it will run for 3 years. And LiveX stands for Living Earth Exchanges. And this is an exchange and cooperation for a living Earth. So it's a project funded by Erasmus Plus, and it's being implemented by the ICYE Federation, it is International Cultural Youth Exchange, and CCIVS, and 8 sub-Saharan African partners. That is Kenya, Togo, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, Mozambique, South Africa, and Tanzania. And the main objectives of the project are 1, empowering the youth, collaborating in action, that is climate action, creating sustainable impact, and shaping the future together. So one of the aspects of the project is youth participation. And one of the ways we do this is having interactive online dialogues, such as the one today. And for you, your mission today is to take the insights and inspirations you get from our dialogue and transfer it to your community. Through this, we're hoping you'll be inspired to be a change maker when it comes to climate change and culture, talking about the intersections of climate change and culture, and you'll actively participate in activities that are linked to climate action and conservation of culture. If you want to be part of LiveX, you can go to the CCIVS website, which is here, or you can go to the ICYE website. Through these links, which we'll also copy in the chat, you'll be able to get to know you'll be able to get to know more about the project and how you can be a participant if you're a member of the participating countries. Thank you. So let me just, I'll copy the chat later. But next, we're going to have the session on sharing our knowledge. And I will share the screen as Paula takes us through her presentation.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Edna, if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
We can't hear you, Edna.
You can't. Can you hear me? Hello?
Almost.
Am I clear?
Yeah, no.
Okay. So I'm going to take you through climate change and culture. So here we'll basically be looking at the intersection and how climate conditions influence cultural practices in terms of beliefs, in terms of societal norms. Hello.
If you can raise your voice a little bit more, that would be very helpful for other participants.
Yes, and there's an echo.
So maybe try to speak a little bit louder. You are audible, but the voice is very low.
Is it clear now?
Much better, yes.
Okay. Mercy, can you go to the next? So this is what we're going to look at, how climate conditions influence culture, practices, beliefs, and social norms. Because we know different cultures, depending on where they live and where they're found, most of their cultural practices are meant to help them sustain themselves in whichever conditions that they find themselves. So because of this, we'll find that different people living in different places have different ways in which they interact, in terms of like the foods they eat, in terms of the clothes they wear, in terms of maybe different religious beliefs and every other thing that they practice in terms of spirituality and all that. So we will get to see the difference based on the different environments that they live in. And because of that, it's also going to come to the point where when the climate changes, it forces individuals to change their ways of life in order to try and accommodate the changes that are coming with them. So how does this affect the different cultures? How does this redefine individuals in their local communities? And how does it change or force them to adapt to new ways so that they can survive? Yeah. Next slide. So the concepts that we are going to look at with this regards include cultural adaptation to climate change, the impact of climate change on resource availability, how climate change affects rituals and beliefs of different communities, climate change and identity, how they are forced to redefine themselves with the changing environments, because we see that most people, if your culture was defined by the environment that you live in, and things start changing in terms of perhaps, let's say, climate, the let's say in terms of rainfall, the rainfall doesn't come as often as it did, which means different things, including maybe farming practices, including religious practices, they change, because some of these activities are linked to different seasons. So it forces communities to change how they do this thing. So how does it then cause them to redefine their identity, which was shaped in terms of like the environment where they were living? The landscape and climate change and cultural transformation. So we are going to look into all of that. Next slide. So first of all, we have to understand what climate change is, obviously, and I think most of us have come in contact with the term climate change, and we understand that it's related to maybe change in temperatures, weather patterns all around the world. And as we've said, it's mostly because of either human practices or some occur naturally.
Your voice has gone down again. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, it's gone down again.
Okay. I think my laptop audio has a problem, so I'm trying to figure out what it is, because I'm not really doing anything different. Anyway. So we'll go into cultural adaptation to climate change. So as we've understood, the different communities shape their identities and how they relate to the climate depending on where they live. So for instance, as you can see, there's the photos of the Inuit from Alaska, and yeah, their identity is shaped based on where they live in terms of clothes. As you can see, they have very dense, very thick clothes. And if you relate that to the Maasai, who live in a semi-arid area, as you can see, their identities are shaped in terms of what they wear, depending on the environment. You cannot wear clothes that are worn in the cold environment that the Inuit stay. You can't come and wear them in the plains, because their clothes are designed specifically to hold the warmth that will help them survive in their homes. So if you come to the arid areas and try to incorporate the different cultures of, let's say, the Inuit people who are used to living in the cold, then it becomes out of place, and probably survival would be hard, because the clothes are not they are not suited for the place that the Maasai are used to stay. So as we can see, different cultures create their identity, and they adapt to the identity depending on where they live in, and that will force them to shape their cultures to allow them to survive in the environment that they're living in. If you look at in terms of housing, in terms of how they're maybe sustaining themselves in terms of food, it's different. One society is perhaps nomadic, and they're used to moving from place to place, and they have their social structures that help them survive in the environment. if there's scarcity of food, they know how to share or different activities that will help them get enough to survive as a community. So it's all dependent, and it shapes how different cultures stay in different environments. And with climate change, as we can see, for instance, loss of rainfall, the rainfall patterns are changing in the Alaskan area. Let's say the ice is thinning because of global warming, and this affects how they're used to getting their food. And if that is affected, how are they going to change their lifestyles to accommodate the new climatic conditions that they're experiencing? Those are some of the challenges that are faced by different communities as they're trying to survive in these changing climatic conditions. Next. There's the impact of climate change on resource availability. As we said, different communities depend on their environment and what the environment has to offer. So for instance, there are communities that rely on regular rain patterns to help them know the planting seasons or when they're supposed to move from one place to another. And if there's a change in the patterns, for instance, rainfall, communities in Kenya like the Kikuyu live in the highlands. They had predictable rainfall patterns where they know if the weather looks like this, they're going to start preparing this and this and this so that they can get bountiful harvest at the end of the season. But with the changing patterns, you're not sure if perhaps it's going to rain or for how long it's going to rain because the patterns vary. When that happens, it starts creating a strain in communities because the regular patterns that they're used to and the different ideologies that they have in terms of telling when the rainfall is coming, in terms of knowing when to do what, it's altered. If that is altered, how do they then come and change, or how do they adapt to that environment to end up still getting the bountiful harvest that they need? So because of this change in climate, it impacts the resource availability. With the reduction of the rainfall, it means there isn't enough rain, for instance, for planting and all that. So if that is the case, then it affects the livelihood of a lot of people, and it affects how the patterns of planting, for instance, knowing when to do different activities so that they can get the bountiful harvest they used to get. So as we can see, it also impacts on resource availability on different climates. And we can see from the diagrams that are here, it shows the impact of the ecosystem and how it leads to impacting all other areas. So I think if you can see the diagrams, you can see the impacts accumulate and it leads to another impact, which even brings a bigger issue for the whole community. Next slide. There's also the impact of climate on rituals, beliefs, and overall the religious outlook of different communities. From the slide, you can see this is an example of the elders in some communities in Kenya who gather to hold a ritual for the rain. So the ritual is supposed to bring rain when there isn't enough rain, or let's say because of the changing climates. Now it's a ritual to pray to the gods to bring rain, because the rain is important for things like planting and other societal beliefs that are around the seasonal changes. So for instance, there are rainmaking ceremonies that coincide with planting seasons. So leaders or spiritual leaders may call upon deities to ensure good harvest. These are only rituals that can be done when you have an idea of how the different seasons come. But because of the changing climate, then it changes the cycles from what they were, and it means even with the rituals that were to be carried out, they also have to be changed. But then again, as you can see, you do not know the change in climate, how it's when the rains are coming, when you're going to be doing your planting and all other rituals. It is affected when the different climatic cycles are affected, and that in turn brings the effect that we realize on the different cultural practices that we are used to. The next slide. Climate change and identity. As we said in the beginning, cultural identity is connected to the environment. The practices of different cultures is connected to the environment where we stay in. So if these different environments had the ways of thinking which shaped their social practices, it shaped their languages, it shaped their religion, it all changed. So if that change affects the identities in terms of we have to rethink different practices, we have to rethink in terms of planting seasons, perhaps in terms of for desert cultures, mobility and the different ways of living. All of that has to be reshaped. So it affects the different hello. I had to change my audio. Sorry.
Oh, thanks. That's even better. I think people are already starting to write again that the voice is not audible enough. All right.
Yeah, I had to change it. I think this is more audible.
This is enough audible.
Okay. So, different cultures around the world deal with climatic change in their own ways based on the risk they see. So, from that, it means different cultures have different ways of handling different, let's say, problems. And based on where they live, they can assess the risk in terms of the different background knowledge that shaped how they did different activities, let's say in terms of like maybe their social connections, what shaped their culture. Depending on how they are used to living, they can use the specific knowledge of their cultures to try and help mitigate these different actions so that they try to maintain their identity. because at the end of the day, we said identity, what gives people their identity is mostly where they're coming from. That is why people living in Kenya, we have a different identity from someone living in another country. We might be from almost the same region, but the different cultures, depending on the different background knowledge that we have of our different cultures. It shapes how we think, it shapes the different solutions that we may have to problems that we are facing. So that's why you see different regions. We might even be in the same place, but we are living in different regions. There's the highlands, there's the desert areas, there's the lakeside region, for instance. So all these people might be in the same place, but the identity is shaped from where they come from and the different, let's say maybe conditions that they live in. So we can see that the identity come from
I think we lost you. If you can hear me, caller, we lost you again. This time not
how
because
we were raised and where we were raised. For instance, I think solutions, that's why we say solutions maybe you're coming from. Every person has a different. Yeah. Nimepotea.
yeah, ulipotea kidogo. We lost you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. We have you back again.
Okay, next slide, Mercy. This one is almost related to the previous point. As you can see, the different surrounding that we have, mountains, forests, rivers, they all shape and give meaning to the different places that we come from. So again, if all of this is influenced in terms of maybe, let's say there's a lot of logging because we are using the trees for, let's say, paper and other things. When it's reduced, then what is the identity that is left for that area? The rivers dry up. So the people who are fishing, what is the identity outside? Maybe like if they are known for fishing, what is the identity outside that? That is caused by climate change. And the climate change is as a result of probably human activities. So how do we mitigate that? How do we use our cultures as much as our identity is shaped by our activities like fishing and farming, logging, and all that? How do we use our knowledge and try to maintain our environment as much as we are also getting our daily let's say resources, like for people who are fishing and all that? How do we satisfy ourselves while also maintaining our environment and curbing the impacts of climate change? Yeah. The illustration in blue is of the Maori. Maybe if you have a chance, you can look it up, and it shows the degradation as it's going from the influences of the different practices that we do that damages, let's say, maybe artifacts or areas that are significant culturally, and it forces them to change their culture. That is the whole process that is shown by the diagram on the side. So maybe you can look more on it and it will give you a broader idea on the issue of cultural landscape and climate change and how it affects the different communities in depth. The last slide, climate change and cultural transformation. So as we've said, different practices lead to perhaps, let's say, damage in our ecosystem in general. So it affects the cultures. How do you help your community to not lose its identity in general, while also curbing the effects of climate change? So it means you have to adjust your culture. You have to adjust maybe different ways that you have been doing things. You have to adjust your outlook and see what benefits my environment, but also helps me retain and not lose our culture in general. Yeah, because we see there are a lot of issues, rising sea levels, which is causing maybe island countries to be more submerged. Those people will end up probably losing their home, which means they have to think of ways in which they can adapt or change their mindset and think of new ways to help them mitigate or help them maintain their culture and not lose it completely. Because the probability is they'll have to migrate to new places. But how do you use your indigenous knowledge to help uphold your culture and not lose it all through assimilation and other activities? Because most of the times we see the lesser majority, they have to adapt to the ways of life of the bigger whole. So if they're going to a new place, what can they do to ensure that they've maintained their culture, and as much as there's a bit of change, they do not lose it entirely? Yeah. Next slide. So this is the last part. As you can see, a lot of people all around the world that are affected by the effects of climate change. So it is not only up to the few, but the big majority. Everyone, everywhere has to adopt sustainable measures to help them protect the environment for the future generations. Because even what we have now is not what was there in the past. Things have changed, and we are seeing it keeps changing. But how can we protect the environment so that even our future children will come and find it better instead of finding it worse? So that is something we have to keep in mind as a parting shot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. People, you can share your reactions by clapping hands or sending emojis. There is an icon for you to react based on what you think. But thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kola. People applauding digitally, which is really nice. Back to you, Marcy.
Thank you. So we're going to move on to the second part of sharing our knowledge. And this will be done by Ian from Zimbabwe.
Hello, am I audible?
Just hold on. Let me share my screen first, but we can hear you.
Sure. Thanks to Kola for such an amazing presentation. It was very educative and informative. Once again, my name is Ian, a mentor from Zimbabwe Campus Association. And today I'm going to talk about the role of culture in climate action. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about the role of culture in climate action. You can move on to the next slide. It is very important to note that culture is a way of life, and therefore it has a big role to play towards climate action. Our day-to-day life can positively impact climate actions. So here's some ways in which culture can influence climate action. I'll talk about cultural movements which drive awareness towards climate action. So in most of African cultures, there are ceremonies. Some of them are seasonal, some of them annual, some of them they can happen immediately when there's a need. For example, the rain-making ceremonies in Zimbabwe, they do it when they see there's a prolonged drought. So these ceremonies are designed to protect and to give respect to the environment and strengthen the spiritual connection of the people and the environment. And this is a powerful way of raising awareness in environmental protection, thereby giving a sense of respect to nature, as it is treated as sacred. And this creates a sustainable use of resources. For example, in some cultural traditions, it is a taboo to cut down trees. Like even firewood, it is sourced in a certain way. Even kids are not eligible to go in search of firewood. It's a role which is specifically meant for adults. This is also a way to transmit environmental traditional knowledge and also manage the natural resources. You can move to the next slide, please. So this clearly shows that traditional knowledge helps with sustainable living. For example, many cultural communities from Zimbabwe, they view nature as sacred and interconnected with spirituality. And with this sense, cultural communities would not want to witness extinction of some components of their environment. Thereby, they use the resources in a sustainable way. For example, also traditional leaders like chiefs, spirit mediums, also play a key role in land use and resource management, since they have this kind of voice which is loud in their communities. Everyone listen to them very well because of their cultural way of life, where they value cultural practices, leading to a positive impact on climate action. As I said, traditional ceremonies like rain making, in Shona they call it mukwerera, which fosters respect for nature and promote environmental stewardship among Zimbabwean cultural communities. Another example also is of Kenya, which is a home to diverse indigenous groups like the famous Maasai and the Samburu, who have long used local knowledge to cope with droughts and shifting seasons. Their community storytelling and oral history are strongly mediums of information, which also has a positive impact on climate action. And they are well known also for this for their indigenous strategies for livestock management and seasonal forecasting, which are increasingly recognized in national climate policy. This is very interesting. And culture shapes values, behaviors, and worldview, making it essential in climate policy. So integrating cultural perspective ensures more inclusive, effective, and locally relevant solutions that resonate with diverse communities. You can move on to the next slide, please. Yeah, the next one. Another one. Yeah, that one. So with all this on the table, urgent action is needed to protect both environment and culture. We must embrace our unique traditions to promote sustainability. We must promote traditional knowledge as equivalent to Western science because it's one of the crucial part of our culture, our diverse culture. And some other practices which are relevant to natural resource management, such as sustainable agriculture and forestry or water conservation. And also by revitalizing local knowledge, celebrating cultural festivals that promote environmental awareness, and encouraging diets with low ecological impact. Communities can inspire collective actions and foster a deep-rooted commitment to protect the environment for future generations. So it is a call to us. We must also incorporate indigenous perspectives on sustainability. You can move to the next slide, please. Yeah, we must also incorporate indigenous perspective on sustainability, which often emphasizes living in harmony with nature and respecting the land and its resources. Lastly, I would say we must support community-led initiatives that promote sustainability, such as community gardens, renewable energy projects, and maybe ecotourism initiatives. Next slide, please. Yeah, so I'm also glad that the organizations which are involved in this LiveX are working in one of the mentioned actions, and the journey looks amazing so far. And on that note, I say thank you, Asante-san. That's all from me. Over to you, Miss.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks, Kola. So I'm going to open the floor to anyone who has questions or comments regarding the presentations. If you're not able to speak, you can write in the chat. I can see some comments. Yes, I'll speak to Nicholas. I think he will be able to share the slides to your emails. If you registered on the Google form, then we definitely have your email information. Thanks, Courtney. Thank you, Ingrid. Anyone with questions before we go to our next session? Okay, so then back to knowing each other better. If you are not able to write an emoji because you're using a desktop, you can do that in the chat. So write your name in the chat and the emoji that is representing the, let me see if I can share this. That is representing what you like about your culture. You just share the screen again. And then what I want us to do is, well, I'll have to mention someone first, but I want you to mention somebody's name and guess what their emoji represents about what they like in their culture. So for example, let me see if I can find a participant whose emoji I can see. Okay, I can see Abiola, and there's a Nigerian flag next to their name. So I will guess that Abiola likes patriotism in their culture. So Abiola, tell me if I'm right or wrong. I don't know if you can hear me. If not, I will guess
Bumi.
somebody. I can't see Bumi's. I can't see her emoji. She has an emoji. So maybe you can guess
No.
which Bumi's emoji.
She just wrote.
Yes.
She has
Oh, she
just
wrote in the
written.
chat.
No, she's just written next to her name, Nigeria. But I think maybe she was just telling people she's from Nigeria.
Okay, but I can see in the chat she has a smiley face with love hearts. So about your culture, I will guess that Bumi is trying to say that Nigerians are loving people and always smiling. Am I right, Bumi, or no? And then now, when Bumi lets me know if I'm correct, you can now try and guess another person emoji, and the chain goes on until we finish. Since
Yes,
we
you
are
are very correct.
Thank you. So, Bumi, you can try and guess somebody else's emoji. We can try and do this in 2 minutes, I think. We can carry the chain. You can either check their profiles or their chats in the chat.
Okay, I can see Edson Kajana. I think he has a tree, two trees. Edson. Yeah, Edson, I can see, I think he's saying maybe they have a green land or probably lots of trees, I don't know.
Edson, is that true?
I can see two trees next to his name.
But Edson, if you're not able to speak, you can write in the chat, but you can let us know if how your culture is related to the trees emoji you've sent. Anyone else wants to guess somebody's emoji?
Yeah, I can guess.
Okay.
Is Njire Njeri. Njire Njeri. I don't know if I pronounced the name correctly. I think maybe it's history of their culture, I guess.
Njire, tell us if that's true. You have a scroll next to your name.
Yeah, actually, that's true. I like the history of our culture.
What's your culture?
Well, from Kenya. I'm from the Gikuyu tribe, so I enjoy the stories of the old days and how it was and everything. As in, I mean, yourself as a Kenyan, you must be aware of the Kikuyu culture also.
Yeah, a bit, because I'm not from the Kikuyu tribe.
No.
Try and guess somebody else's emoji.
Adewunmi. I don't know if she wrote.
Adewunmi.
Yeah, I don't know if she wrote on the Slido.
But I can see
But I
Adewumi
think
has written something in the chat.
yeah, but I think it's connection to nature from the entries that we have in the poll, I think, or the weather or something about like that.
So Adewumi, you can tell us if Njire is correct, that what you like about your culture is the weather. Adewumi, are you there? Okay. Jide, can you choose somebody else? Just take a guess.
I'll take Fabunmi. I think
Adewumi has answered on
oh,
the chat.
oh, she has answered that.
Mm. Okay. So Adewumi has said yes, it's true. Adewumi can try and guess somebody's info and write in the chat. But if you have access to your microphone, please just unmic and try and guess somebody's emoji. Let's make it lively and fun so we can move quickly in like 1 minute.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes. I want to guess Obala's emoji. I think I can see something like a drum and yeah, I think they value traditional dances and food from the emoji that he has posted. I think they value much of their traditional dances and food. I don't know if I'm correct. Dione
So
Obara.
Yvonne, tell us if it's true that your emojis are a drum and that what you like about your culture are traditional dances. And you can tell us what culture it is you're representing with your emoji.
My emoji represents food in our culture, like bananas and avocado. And then they rich in music and drumming. I tried to look for something like Obokano that the Gusi people play so much, but I could not find any.
Would you please write it in the chat so we can have a reference? Obukano from the Abagusi people.
Yes, let me write.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
As you're writing, also look for somebody's emoji that you'd like to guess.
I think for Kana, she represents people like coming together and helping each other, and what else? I don't know if I'm right. I picked for Kola.
Okay.
I guess that's Edna.
Yes.
People coming together in a culture, which is cool here in Africa. People, they are like people really come together for each other, kind of thing.
Kola, is that true?
True.
Your emojis represent people coming together?
Yeah, the first one and the second one is just living in the moment
The
and having
second
fun.
one, for the second one, I'm not sure. Racism or something like that.
Because of the big eyes.
It's
I don't know.
the emoji for the sunglasses. It's just living in the moment and having a good time.
Okay.
For those who didn't hear, Kola said that the first emoji represents people coming together, and then the second emoji is the emoji with the sunglasses, and it represents people coming together and living in the moment and having a good time. I think this exercise is taking longer than I anticipated, so we will hold that thought. We're going to go to our next session, which is we're going to watch a video first. It's a 6 minutes video, so please be patient, watch till the end. And this video will segue into our breakout rooms where we'll have discussions around the video. So Nicholas, please play for us the video.
Yes, I'm trying to pull it up. Just 1 second. You can hear the audio too.
Thanks to the funders of Peril and Promise for supporting PBS Digital Studios.
Can you hear?
Think about the place you grew up as a kid. You probably knew the best shortcut to your friend's house, which tree limbs you could shake to free the juiciest fruit, or how the sky looked just before the streetlights would beckon you home. Your neighborhood was your kingdom, and you knew how to navigate it to get the best out of it. Now, imagine a different way of knowing your neighborhood. One that draws not just on years in a single place, but on generations of knowledge over thousands of years. One where your neighborhood isn't a thing to be conquered, but a relationship to be nurtured. That's the kind of knowledge that exists in Indigenous communities, and their way of knowing might help us all adapt to climate change. Before we get too far, let's get on the same page. First, there's no official definition of Indigenous, but we're using the term to describe communities that self-identify as Indigenous, including those who follow traditional customs and practices that trace back to pre-colonized societies. They often have a relationship with their environment that transcends what they see or feel, and is governed by a system of beliefs, values, or principles that set out how they will interact with the world around them. One Indigenous community, the Inuit of Western Canada, use knowledge passed down through generations to observe the stars, the shapes of clouds, and the behavior of animals to forecast the weather. But today, they can't rely on those forecasts because the weather varies more than ever before. Signs that used to foretell a storm was coming tomorrow could now mean there's a storm coming in the next hour. Indigenous communities have witnessed environmental changes like these for a long time, but their observations have often been dismissed or ignored by Western science. These days, some scientists are recognizing that the knowledge held by Indigenous communities can show us things about our changing world and climate that the scientists can't always detect. When scientist Sherry Gerhard traveled across sea ice on Greenland's northwestern shore, she was shocked when her sled dog's legs punched through the ice, which was unseasonably thin. Knowing that sea ice is 2 inches thick feels more real when it's beneath your feet. But to Inuit travelers on the team, this was the new normal for traveling in the Arctic. Indigenous communities are on the front lines of climate change and its impacts due to their reliance on wild fish, game, and crops, and their firsthand interaction with changes to sensitive environments like declining sea ice. In these communities, adapting to change could mean the difference between existing and not existing. Fortunately, the local knowledge they've developed to navigate the world can also put them in a position to adapt quickly, because their knowledge, like any form of science, is dynamic. Communities that have found their weather forecasting techniques more unreliable are adapting and tweaking their methods to better predict the changes as they experience them. Their systems are evolving just as fast as the climate around them. For years, though, the scientific world viewed its observations and way of solving problems as superior to those from Indigenous communities. For example, when Inuit hunters said they saw thunderstorms near Sachs Harbor, Canada, researchers dismissed them and told them it was too cold to see that kind of weather so far north. But the hunters were right. That type of scientific arrogance still exists, but it's starting to fade. Today, Indigenous observations are beginning to be incorporated in disciplines such as forestry, conservation, disaster preparedness, and climate science. Scientists are working alongside Indigenous communities to develop research models, document observations, and importantly, find answers to questions that are useful to both scientists and local communities. Through these partnerships, scientists are learning that daily temperatures in the Arctic fluctuate much more than scientific models indicated. And subsistence hunters are helping collect samples from musk oxen they rely on, which have shown that warmer winters are hurting the health of the herds. Scientists also recognize that the very words within Indigenous languages can contain observations about their environment, like how an area called Where the Caribou Mate shows that at one point, a bunch of caribou used to live there, even if it's no longer true. All of this is a start, but it's not enough. Even as some scientists and Indigenous communities are working together more closely, many countries still deny Indigenous people a meaningful voice on issues that impact them. Indigenous communities are fighting to be recognized as unique groups with particular ways of existing, even if they shouldn't have to prove that to the people who drew borders around them. But the thing is, no one has all the answers, and we will need many kinds of knowledge to tackle the challenges of climate change. Sometimes that knowledge comes from people who have been here all along, and from whom we could learn a lot if we were willing to listen. Indigenous communities have survived for thousands of years by using their ways of knowing and adapting. Maybe, just maybe, they're onto something. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing. Click that little bell icon to get notified when we have a new video. You can also check out our Patreon page where you can help us not only make more videos, but also make them more carbon neutral. Details and links are in the description below.
Thank you. Nicholas, how much time do you have left?
We can go on. I think we have enough. We have
For
like
both breakout room and panel discussion?
yeah.
Okay.
How much?
So now we had allocated 20 minutes for each.
We can do that.
Okay. So we're now going to go into breakout rooms. And we're going to discuss the questions that I'm posting in the chat.
2 breakout rooms, right?
Yes, because I see we are few. So we can have 2.
Okay, I think I have opened the rooms for people to join anyone they want. So I guess you just see which one has more people and which one has less, and then you go to that one. Marcy, which one are you going to be in?
Wow. Group 1.
Okay, then the other co-facilitator can be on the second one, and people can join in those groups.
Okay, so we're going to have, who's in the second breakout room? Rutherford. Rutherford, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm still around.
So we can have Rutherford and Francis in the second breakout room. And then I can have Madam Kirubo or Ian in my room to help. So the questions we're going to discuss are in the chat. That is, are you aware of any indigenous knowledge from your own community that's linked to climate action or environment conservation? And how has your local community adapted to the changing climate? Are there any cultural practices that have evolved as a result of your climate change?
Great.
I hope the questions are clear.
For those who are still on the main call, you can already decide whether you want to join room 1 or room 2.
Maybe you can give instructions on how to join a breakout room.
They should see like a button on the screen popping, asking them in one of the rooms. We already have 8 people in room 2 and only 3 in room 1. So maybe more people in the first room.
I can't see any. You didn't want to just assign the rooms?
I can assign you. Let me just assign the ones who are.
You can assign me to 1. I don't see any options, but I can go to 1. Thank you. Now I see it. Thank you.
Please assign me as well.
In which one?
Room 1.
Okay.
Thank you.
Who else wants to be assigned in any of the rooms? You can just unmute and ask me to do that.
We're the only ones here.
Get the other group to come so we can, because I have a,
Okay,
I have a meeting.
Okay. So we can
Starting at
help you with the panel discussion. Because we just have 5 minutes. Let me message Nicholas. I can see some people from the other group coming.
So people are going back to the main room?
We are in the main room. Isn't this the main room?
Yes.
No, I think
It is.
you are still in
Yes,
room.
this is the main. No, this is the main room.
Okay, let me check on the other room then.
Because I clicked on leave breakout
people
room
left.
and then it brought me here.
Maybe the other group left the meeting.
Yes, it can be confusing. You could click on leave meeting instead of
sometimes I
breakout
do
room.
that sometimes. Yeah.
I've just closed all the rooms so that all the participants
can come.
that have been given 60 seconds to return to the main.
Okay, thank you.
So in 1 minute, we should have everyone.
Okay. Yeah, it's like half the people disappeared. Rutherford and his group disappeared.
You can see them coming in.
So Mercy, I don't know how we'll do this.
For the panel?
Yes.
Because we still need to hear feedback from the rooms. Yes,
yeah.
I have the guiding question. So I can, after people have given their notes, I can post the question and we have a panel discussion.
You can go ahead.
Okay. Welcome back, everyone. Yes. I think we just have to, we were 29 before. But
no, we're good.
I hope, thank you for staying on for this long. I know sometimes it can be tiring, but thank you for staying on. Group 2, maybe you can give us some insights from your breakout room, just briefly in 1 minute.
Thank you. I will share the insights from room 2. We had a very active, interactive, and engaging session where we shared so many experiences, how cultural values affect climate change. And Maruta opened the session with what happens in Zimbabwe, where he said there are some trees that are very protected, considering that they are linked to community traditions, and anyone who is found cutting such trees faces community laws. And we also heard from our friend or brother from Kenya who say there are some rivers or streams that when the order is coming out, that's a sign that they are going to have a very good season, a very fruitful season. Like it signifies that they are going to experience good climatic conditions. So they know that we need to utilize this opportunity because there are other times where this does not happen and they need to improvise on how they can do their farming. That also happens in Kenya where Njiri also talked about the existence of sacred trees where people go for prayers concerning rainmaking, and whosoever is found disrupting the existence of these trees faces what he said spiritual consequences, and this is the time where the elders from the community are supposed to get this person into prayers. And the second question, of course, we heard from a lot of people who shared their experiences about the first question, but because of time, maybe I should move on to the second question, where we heard about the cultivation of drought-resistant crops like millet and sorghum, and this is in response to the change in climate. And this actually happens in Zimbabwe, where people have now turned to use of these drought-resistant crops whenever there is some sort of drought. And Maluda also shared about the small dams that people dig just to harvest water for their farming. When there is a change in terms of rainfalls, water table is very low. Sometimes the boreholes dry up, and they need to make sure that whenever rains fall, they actually preserve these waters into some sort of small dams. That's what we had from room 2.
Thank you. Room 1, anyone wants to give us a brief of what we discussed? Anyone? Well, if not, I took a few notes. I hope I'll remember everything. So we had some few cultural practices that were related to climate action. For example, preserving the forests because they're a sacred area. And then we had like people from the Maasai community have lived in harmony with the wild animals. So they would not hunt the animals, and that somehow ensured that there was a balance in the ecosystem. And then we have some communities where till today they can predict the start or end of rains by either observing the birds or looking at certain flowers in the grains. So that will also influence how they carry on their agriculture. And then we had a community in Europe where they are now having a renewed interest in herbal plants and growing the herbal plants. So this means definitely by default they will have to conserve the traditional flora and fauna where these herbal plants grow, because Western medicine is being supplemented or complemented with the herbal medicine. And then from Ghana, we had, again, relationship between the animals and the plants and the water systems, where everything has to balance out. And one of the ways of conserving the water system was they're not allowed to plant trees along riverbanks. Farming was not allowed on certain days, like for Paul's community, they mentioned that you could not farm on Fridays because Friday is considered the day of the goddess of, I can't remember, but the day of the goddess. So culturally, if you were found, farming on Fridays, it means you are going against their traditions. But then also what this meant for the environment is the plants are allowed to regenerate during that time, the soil is allowed to rest, and the ecosystem remains balanced. For fishing in the sea, this was not allowed on Tuesdays. Again, the concept is the same, that the fishes and all the water life is allowed to rest and rejuvenate. So the next time they're fishing, they actually have bulk fish. So we had a lot on that. And then for the second question, we didn't have much time for that. But one thing that stood out is the way of forestry, reforestation changing. So in this community in Germany, because of climate change, new insects that were not there before are now coming to the forest, which are killing the trees that were indigenously growing there. So because of that, a practice that has had to change is now they have to reforest, I think in the springtime. Is it spring? Yes, I think it's spring. Yes. Springtime. So the reforestation pattern has changed because now they are planting trees to replace the ones that were killed by insects that did not exist before because of climate change. Another example is our traditional attires. Those have changed because the original raw materials that were there before don't exist anymore. So our cultural outfits have to change. We have to modify and work with what is available now. Also, the food that we are eating, it's not what was there before organically because of climate change is not there anymore. So we have to adapt our diets to the climate change. We have one last panel discussion. And before we do that, I just want to ask you some simple questions on would you rather? And I'll just copy as I write, as I speak, in case there's anyone who has challenges hearing me. And the first one is, would you rather preserve an ancient cultural site? You can just write your answers in the chat or unmute and answer. Would you rather preserve an ancient cultural site that is at risk from climate change, or would you rather restore a natural ecosystem that supports local traditions? Which one would you choose? I've written it in the chat. So either preserve an ancient cultural site or restore a natural ecosystem. Which one would you rather do? There is no correct answer. Both of them are good. So don't feel somehow. Preserving is easier than restoring. Courtney would rather preserve, Kola would rather restore. Anyone else? Okay, let me ask the second one. Preserving, restoring. It's kind of a balance. Interesting. The second question is, would you rather live in a self-sustaining eco-village that celebrates your cultural heritage, or would you rather live in a high-tech green city with people from all over the world? Eco-village with their cultural heritage or Green city with people all over the world. Anybody? Oh, big city life is overrated. Okay. Okay. Another either or. Co-village. Cut here. There are no shortcuts. Okay. Would you rather you create art inspired by your culture, or would you rather write a story about how climate change affects your community? I've written that in the comment as well. Create art inspired by your culture to promote cultural awareness, or would you rather write a story about how climate change has affected your community? Mhm. Okay, I'll just two more, and then we continue. Would you rather dance in a rain-making ceremony, or would you rather sing a song to summon the sun? Rain-making to call the rains, or sing to call the sun? Which one? Dance, dance. Dance. Seems like dancing is winning. Oh, Vivian would rather call this. Is it because it's cold right now where you are? Maybe. But it seems dancing has taken the trophy. And then our last one is this one. Would you rather live in a tree house in a forest, or live in a floating village on a lake? So would you rather live in the forest or live on the lake? Tree house. Tree house. Wow. Overwhelmingly, no one wants to live on water. Very interesting. The treehouse is safe. On water, there is a tsunami. Okay. Janet would love to live on the water. That's nice. So we now have our panel discussion, which is kind of linked to what we were talking about in the breakout rooms. But the main question is, how do you think we can amplify Indigenous voices or knowledge from our communities? It's a free session. Feel free to either write in the chat or unmute yourself and speak. But when you think of the Indigenous knowledge we spoke about in the breakout rooms, what are ways you feel we can amplify those voices or amplify the knowledge? If you give answers to this one, I promise I'll give you more interesting would you rather questions before we go.
I think we first have to start with recognizing that the knowledge is tangible, like the knowledge is something that can be used. It's not just this backward way of thinking, because it's been there over a long period of time and it worked before all this machinery and technology came around. So first we have to recognize that these ways work, and then now we can go into now using them to help us, with curbing this climate change or something. Yeah,
I agree because I feel like we need to remove ourselves from the shackles or the box of academia. A lot of times, if something is not recorded in academia, it's not considered worth pursuing or to be meaningful or respected enough. So yeah, that's a good way. Acknowledging that just because it's not in academia does not mean it doesn't work. Marco says, through collaboration between environmental experts and indigenous people to know their thoughts, then we can share their thoughts to the world. Okay.
Yeah, I would second on that, like integrate indigenous knowledge into education systems and policies is a good way. Because I have a very important example of the Japanese and us, like many of us African countries. Because like in our 11 years of primary school and high school, we have this kind of mindset where we think like cleaning up like public places, like picking up papers, is a punishment, because like that's how like the system in education system it is. Like if you go against the school rules, they're gonna send you to the ground to pick up papers. So this kind of mindset, it grows with us to a certain way whereby now it's even hard for the majority to just clean a place, like to pick up papers. As compared to Japanese, I was watching a football match whereby there were different nationalities, and then like other nationalities left the stadium, only the Japanese remain picking up, like cleaning all the cans, the plastics. So I really I want to say that it is important to integrate some of these indigenous knowledges, and also to emphasize on good social behaviors, which will become a culture, a norm to us.
Thank you. Anybody else? Paul says collaboration with indigenous people and academia and research institutions to document indigenous knowledge and make them accessible to all age groups. So I think this is also adding on to what Ian has said, the collaboration between our educational systems and documenting documenting our indigenous knowledge and preserving that. Anybody else?
I think also like making it so that children, our future kids, whoever, grandchildren and all that, they start from a young age and they're educated about these traditions not being backward per se, but being, a part of the solution. If we grow up in that culture, like was it Ian who was saying the way the Japanese are, those are things that are instilled in children. So when you grow up in that culture, then it's easier for you to push it forward, to advocate and to do these things. But if we are made to feel like these indigenous traditions are backward, then it's hard for anyone to pick them up. Even if you tell a kid, oh, go, don't throw things everywhere, or go and pick that, they feel like it's a punishment, when ideally it's just the idea of keeping your environment clean and just being mindful of the environment and all that. So I think it's important to start instilling these stories, talk to children about them, pass on these traditions, and that also comes with teaching our children about our traditions and not just letting them grow up thinking that, this modernized world and whatever is the only thing that is there. So tradition has to be passed.
Yeah, and that ties to what Courtney is suggesting, schooling in indigenous languages. For sure, that is something that a lot of, especially African countries, are still not incorporating in the education system. I know Kenya, we started having indigenous or rather vernacular language as part of the curriculum recently, but you still find places where it's kind of like a taboo if you don't speak in either English or Swahili, even more so English. So we need to start having the conversations with young kids from as early as possible that indigenous is actually something to be proud of, and learning the language is also something to be proud of. So I agree with that. Anybody else? One more person before we go to our feedback round.
Hello.
Hi.
This is Paul.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I think it's very important to respect our indigenous people for this type of wonderful information they possess about our environment, and then how to preserve it. Because most times we tend to look down upon our indigenous people, especially those who feel they are elite. They look down upon the indigenous people. And so if we want to tap into the knowledge of these indigenes, then we must first acknowledge them and then show respect to the special knowledge that they possess. And then let them know that in these trying times, we need them more than ever. Once we do that, they will also be prepared to come forward and then share all the wonderful knowledge and the experience that they have so that we can incorporate them into our modern ways of doing things to be able to survive on this planet and then preserve it for future generations. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Vivian says, create a space for local cultural voices to speak without interrupting, reinterpreting, or filtering their message. Include local people directly in decision-making events or conversations, especially about land, environment, and culture. Support language revitalization if needed, and story preservation. Many teachings are passed orally. Make sure any collaboration benefits locally and respects traditions and rights, and also understand and talk about historical context of possible displacement, marginalization, and cultural loss. I don't have anything to add to what Vivian has said, but yeah, definitely great point. So we are coming towards the end, and I need us to do kind of like a key takeaway round and a feedback round. So for your key takeaways, I'm going to just hold on. We're going to do it via Mentimeter, another online tool. Let's see, I hope this works. So you'll go to menti.com and then put in the code that you see there. This is something that should not take more than 2 minutes. And we just want to know, what are your key takeaways for the day? If you're having challenges going to Menti, just let us know and we'll figure out how to help you. I don't know why on my end I'm not able to see your responses, but just give me a thumbs up if you're able to put your responses. Oh, now I can see them. Okay, I think my internet was down. It's a bit slow. So these are some of your key takeaways. Community-led initiatives, academia, inclusion is important, indigenous knowledge, collaboration, community-led initiatives. I hope you can all see my screen so you're able to see the other participants' responses. Fourteen responses, maybe a few more because I think we have 20 in the room. Maybe 2 more people, and then we can go to our feedback round. Okay. So now I want us to get to our feedback. We are also going to do this anonymously. Let me just share the link. Again, just go to this link that I've posted here. Oh, it's not posted the link. Okay, let me open it. So the tool we're using for feedback is Idea Boards. Just click on the link and then let me see if I can share my screen again. It will take you to this page. And if you want to add your feedback, you click on this plus sign, you get a sticky note and you can type whatever in the sticky note. It's also mobile friendly. So whether you're using a mobile phone or a computer, you should be able to put your information in the idea boards. Have you all accessed idea boards? We have a few responses coming in. Tell us what made you sit up, smile, or think, wow, this is gold. Indigenous cultures of different societies, the diversity of participants. Yes, I think we were a very diverse group, and that added to the enriching conversations that we had. If this session were a movie, what would it be? Comedy. Okay, interesting. You'd like to be informed earlier. Yes, we will definitely put that into consideration. Documentary meets feel-good drama. Drama. There's always something in play. I agree. Thriller, because I wanted more and more and more. It wasn't enough. Time is jealous. I agree. Time was jealous of our conversations. But thank you for staying till the end. So you can continue filling in the idea boards even after the Zoom has ended. Continue. Yeah. Somebody was speaking. Okay, I was saying you can still continue filling in the idea boards even after we've ended the meeting. It's great for us to get the feedback from you so we can know how to plan for the next session. In the Google form, we also asked you to let us know about what topics you'd like to have us discuss in our next online dialogue. So we're definitely going to consolidate everything that you've written, and then the team is going to try and see which works, how to make that work for the next online dialogue. Anyone with parting words before we go? If you don't want to speak, you can write in the chat. Or you want one more would you rather question as our parting shot? Okay, I know our brains are tired. So, Nicholas, I'll hand over to you to end our call with the 1 minute video. And for now, goodbye from Nairobi. But let's watch 1 more minute, just 1 more minute.
Yeah, I thought you'd want to say goodbye to everyone after the video, but that's okay.
Oh.
While I'm viewing the video, thank you everyone for joining in. I really loved listening into the input in both breakout rooms as well. And the presentation, Mercy, were really, really good. Very insightful. So I'm going, I don't think if I shared the audio, let me try and do this again. There. So I think it's this one, yeah.
This could be the most important minute of your day.
We have been through difficult times and face big problems ahead.
But every crisis contains both danger and opportunity.
You can play your part.
Right now.
Right now.
Please close your eyes. Imagine the better future we could have.
Imagine that future.
What does it look like for you?
For the people you love.
How do we lift each other up and make it fair?
How do we protect nature?
And save our shared home. Picture that future you want.
Now open your eyes. It's time to talk about the future we want.
Asante.
Helen Hadsell was able.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you can say goodbye in your language as we leave the meeting.
Kwaheri. Or should I use my local language?
That will be even.
You can, yeah, you can also use your Luo.
Oriti.
You can write it in the chat.
Oriti nyako. I try.
Yeah, nice.
Marco says Wakondia. Marco, what language is that?
Wakondia. Wakondia would be higher, no? No.
Chichewa? Oh, Jita. Jita is from which? Jita is from which country?
From Mara. So I guess Mara.
Ah.
Which is very close to Kenya, actually.
Sure. Mutsale Bueno.
Chewa.
From Chichewa.
Yeah.
Takwenda.
That's Masai.
Kwenda almost sounds like Swahili. Takwenda, because kwenda is going in Swahili. Wow.
Takwenda
Excellent. Mwabeja sana. I cannot even guess. That does not even sound familiar at all.
That's the beauty of diversity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mwabeja.
Paul, how do you say goodbye in... I didn't even ask your community in Ghana, but I'll guess Twi, because that's the only one I know.
I'm here. My community is South Pond. That is part of the Fancy land.
Ah, okay. How do you say goodbye in
And
your language?
We say a tree.
Oh, you pronounce it as tree, not twee.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You
So
know,
maybe you can...
Tree is part of the Akan mother language.
Mm-hmm.
And then another one is Fancy. So I belong to the Fancy group. But they are mutually intelligible. So if you speak Fancy, I will understand.
Okay.
If I am T and then you speak Fancy, I will understand. And then if the Tree person, the Fancy also speaks, the Tree person will understand. But there are some slight differences. Yes. So the Tree will say a tree, Nancy.
Nancy, maybe you can write it in the chat so that we're able to see the words.
Yeah. Okay.
Vivian has told us true in German, and the Russian I cannot even dare to pronounce it. Maybe you can pronounce it for us.
Yeah.
Yes, it's До свидания.
До свидания.
Yeah, I can also write it.
It sounds so simple, but those alphabets you've put for us there are very challenging to our eyes.
Try this one.
До свидания.
Perfect.
До свидания. At least I know choose.
Ciao. Thanks a lot. It was very interesting.
Yeah. Oluwakemi, how do you say goodbye in Yoruba? I'm not sure if you can hear us. Maybe not, but yes. So goodbye, everyone. Nicholas, are you staying on or?
Well, I'm waiting up for people to say their goodbyes and then I can end. But we can stay on. Want to stay on. The only problem is sometimes people would have left their desk.
May have left, so maybe you can asante twi or chui akire. Akire Nante Ye. See you later, safe journey. Akire Nante Ye. Okay. Thank you, Paul, for your insightful input.
Like Oluwakemi, are you here?
I doubt it.
Do we have anything else?
We have Paul. No, just to check on how the meeting was.
Okay.
What do you guys feel after the meeting?
No, I think the meeting was really good. You guys were like super prepared.
Yeah.
The presenters were on point. And even in breakout rooms, I joined like both, and people were like, contributing.
I didn't even realize how quick the 2 hours went by.
I mean, the intention was also to stay for 20 minutes in those rooms, but you stayed for 30 and 5 more minutes. So that shows people found it super interesting. Again, I saw people leaving towards the last 30 minutes, but it's also because sometimes, you can't commit more than 2 hours on a call. So yeah, but like overall, I found it super interesting. And I think it comes down to the preparations, basically.
I think so too. Both presentations were really good, very insightful. So I just want to show you some feedback before we go. The first one was, what made you sit up, smile, or think this is gold? And that is what you can see. The middle one is, if you were to have the session as a movie, which one would it be? I think drama, thriller. That's someone had written comedy, but they've removed it. I don't know why they removed it. What did you say, Nicholas?
No, I'm saying no one wanted it to be thriller. Like everyone wanted it to be something else now. I see. Yeah, it's 0.
And then would you invite your friend to the next session? Why not? It's yes for all of them. So that means our participants felt good.
Yeah.
And it was an insightful participation for them. So the only thing that I'm wondering is, for registrations, we had like 97 registrations, but only
30
participants. Yeah. So maybe that's something we can talk about.
30 participants, between 28 and 30, so 30, I would say.
But losing 70 is a huge number.
Yeah. But that happens sometimes. It means these are people that might join in the coming dialogues if we engage them.
So I guess we can send them the recording, everyone who registered, and send them links to the idea boards for their feedback.
Because normally it's not nice to just post it the way it is. So I'll ask for how long they will take to edit it, but once it's done, we can also share it, upload it on the thing, on our portal, our resource hub.
Okay, so thank you, Kola, and your presentations were great. And
Kola, I really love the second part of your presentation, basically. It was like really nice. Some of these things I didn't know myself. So.
Quite exciting. Yes. So asante sana, and we will continue chatting in the WhatsApp group.
On the group, should we start preparing for the next one?
We should. We should.
Then we can make a poster earlier. We can make everything earlier and hope to get more and more people for the last one.
In fact, we actually need to plan a meeting, because we asked them, what topic do you want to discuss next time? So we need to have a meeting to see the answers that they give, and then we plan for the call around that. Though for the next one, I guess Malawi has to take the lead, but I don't know if they have the capacity to, because in the last 2 sessions, they've really been in the background.
Trying to get in touch individually with teams.
Joshua.
I'm not sure about what's going on there. But yeah, let's see. I will let
But Francis is active. Francis is active. So maybe Francis can work with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Ciao.